嗨，大家好，我叫罗伯特，今年我在中国宁波诺丁汉大学学习。Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rob Avery-Phipps and I was given an ambassadorial scholarship by the Rotary District 1220. I chose to study international relations at Nottingham University's campus in Ningbo, China. From this experience, I was hoping to learn more about this massive country with the hope that in the future I might be a little bit better equipped to make connections between China and the West. It's impossible to quantify whether I've been able to achieve this goal, but I know that I've had the time of my life and I'll be ever grateful to the Rotary Club for this incredible support they've given me. The major proportion of my time has been spent in the coastal city of Ningbo, which is 3 hours south of Shanghai. The course I picked was perfect for me. I've always had an interest in international relations. By studying in Nottingham University's campus, I had the same level of education that I would have enjoyed if I'd simply studied in the UK. However, on top of this academic education, I had the additional benefit of being in China and being able to explore, as best I could, this ever-developing country that will surely only ever grow in influence over our lifetime. To be honest, I never actually actively went out of my way to seek more cultural and social interactions. It just naturally happened. Honestly, I've ended up in some seriously bizarre situations simply by putting myself out there and making the most of every opportunity placed in front of me. The Chinese are so kind and open-hearted. Wherever I went, I ended up making new friends. To give one amazing example, I went travelling with a few foreign friends over the Chinese New Year holidays. We arrived in a town in southern China on the most special day of the Chinese calendar. Everyone in the town was eating their equivalent of Christmas dinner. Nothing was open, and we felt pretty lost as we hadn't planned for this eventuality. A local family must have noticed these dejected-looking foreigners wandering around their streets, and they ended up inviting us to eat their dinner with them. This was so kind, but after my year of living here, I've come to realise that these random acts of kindness happen everywhere you go, as long as you're simply interested to make friends and learn more about what their life they're living. Although these social interactions will not help me pass any tests, I'm certain that the knowledge I've gained by living in China will be equal or higher, or give me higher value than my academic credentials in the future. Because of my encounters, I chose to focus my dissertation on a China-based issue. I chose to study internal migration in China. It's a very hot topic, but it's one which is relatively under-discussed in Chinese society. I was inspired to write about this topic because during my year in Ningbo, I volunteered as an English teacher at a migrant school. The concept of a migrant school was totally alien to me, as I've always considered that a migrant is someone who's not of the same nationality to the host country. But basically, in China, you're tied to where you're born. This area will provide you with the social benefits, and if you leave that area, then you accept that the city you move to will not give you any of the same benefits. It is similar to someone moving to a new country. They have migrant schools because the children of the internal migrants are not entitled to go to school in the city. Let me give one example. Pretend that if in the UK had the same system as in China. Both my parents are not from Nottingham. By moving to Nottingham, they would forgo any of the social benefits they were entitled to in their hometowns, and they would be unlikely to find a good job. It would be very unlikely that my mum could use the Queen's Medical Centre to give birth to me. And when it came for me to go to school, I'd not be entitled to the same education as a local Nottingham citizen, because I would have inherited the same birthplace as my mum. This means that I would have had to go to Worcestershire and live with my nan, or I'd have to study in a very low quality migrant school in Nottingham. It's a desperate situation for millions of people all over China, but it's one that's simply accepted as normal. It's really not questioned and debated. I learnt a lot by doing my research, which also helped unravel some of the mysteries I couldn't understand when observing certain situations before. I look forward to presenting in more detail my research to any Rotary clubs who are interested when I come home. On top of my academic life, I like to keep myself fit and active during my time in China. I took up running as it was a great way to explore the local area where I was living. One day, one of my friends mentioned a marathon that was run on the Great Wall. He said it was impossible. Frustratingly, words like that triggered something in my brain. So that afternoon, I naively signed up to do it. I decided I wanted to run in aid of End Polio Now. One of the reasons was because I'd learnt quite a bit of it after I'd attended a few Rotary events. But secondly, last summer, I had first-hand experience of visiting some people in Western China who had polio after I went on a trip with the Rotary Club of Shanghai. It's a terrible condition, but by donating to End Polio, I could see how I could make a very small contribution to putting polio into the history books forever. Amazingly, the run itself was not that bad, certainly not impossible. I think the reason for this was because I was running in such an amazing scenery. It was hard to feel the pain in my feet, although the day after it definitely did hurt. Even more amazingly, from my perspective, was the amount I was able to raise. £1,000 from my friends and family, £1,000 from Rotary donations, and in addition, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are likely to match and double this amount of money, which will mean that in total £6,000 will be raised. I have to say a massive thank you very much to everybody who supported me. After finishing my studies in Ningbo, I was very fortunate to secure an internship at the United Nations in Beijing. I don't think there can be many internships that match my master's degree so perfectly. I'm working in an initiative that is helping to increase economic cooperation in Northeast Asia. My position is in the communications department, and I'm assisting in writing reports and press releases about meetings, events and results. It's a challenging but interesting job, and I think it's fantastic to get to know a bit more about the inner workings of international diplomacy. The only trouble is it's an unpaid internship, and I don't have the savings to be able to live in Beijing for 4 months. For this reason, I had to be a little bit innovative. I created a video basically advertising myself as a sit-in English teacher. Speaking all in Chinese, I said that I can teach English to anyone who's interested for free, as long as they can offer me a place to live. I put the video onto Chinese social media sites and ended up getting over 10,000 hits. I received quite a few offers, but I ended up accepting one from a family which was recommended by Lily Gong, a past ambassadorial scholar from China who studied in the UK 3 years ago. It's a fantastic situation for me. The house is in a very exclusive neighbourhood in Beijing, and the family are great. It's certainly helping my Chinese a lot. The only trouble is it takes 1.5 hours to get to work every day. At Christmas, my internship ends, and so does my amazing 18 months in China. For a long time I've pondered what on earth I'm going to do after my time here. I'm in a very privileged position because I've acquired such rich experiences that will complement my academic achievements and make me relatively employable. I see so much potential in China. We really know so little about this massive country, and I want to show people in the West more about the real China. The more we know about each other and the more we cooperate, the more we're going to benefit. I've looked at the diplomatic pathway, but the more I've looked at it, the more I feel that there's other ways to connect the East and the West. When I return home, it's my ambition to set up a business that helps more people come to China and see this country with their own eyes. I have 3 key areas I want to focus on: education and internships for university students, language classes where you don't have to sit in a classroom, and finally making tourism packages where people take the road less travelled by. My main aim for whatever I promote is to encourage more interaction with local people. One of my first ambitions is to take people like you, Rotarians, on a trip to China. You can explore some of the most wonderful scenery in the world whilst learning more about the lives of the people who make up this 1.3 billion person nation. I hope I can make this happen and share some of the experience I've had with you, the people who've helped make this happen in the first place. In the meantime, I'd really appreciate the time of anyone in the Rotary Club who has some advice on establishing a business. At the end of the day, I'm only 22 years old and have a lot to learn. I know my goal of connecting communities worldwide is very ambitious, but it's closely linked to what the Rotary Club was looking for when they gave me the scholarship 2 years ago. If you have any advice, I'd really love to hear from you. But for now, let me express a massive thank you to the Rotary and for all of you for your support. I've honestly had an amazing time, and the fact that I'm even contemplating starting a business that will help connect the West with China is purely down to the Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship. When I come home, I hope to come to your club and tell you a bit more about my time here. Thanks again.